Botrick se unió al chat.
Bien, Botrix.
Bienvenido a G. Muy bien, deja.
Stream Elements Botronin Robot Lear No Auto Customize Te Botere, https://dos.barra de ocseS.streamelents.com. @Stream Elements, por favor, no envíes enlaces.
Somewhere around here is where right just through here, and then once we are in the cathedral wall, let's go right just through here. These doors will only be open after you've killed the blood-starved beast. So through these doors and
grande Luigi.
¿Qué onda, Les?
¿Cómo vamos?
Viene aquí. Bloodborneando.
Aquí desayunando.
Ando bien, Arles. Uy. Uy. No. No. Vamos a ver todo eso todo el día, ¿verdad? Vamos a llegarle por Detroit. Ay, sí, pendejo. Bien. Bien. Eh, Según yo aquí había otro de esos pendejos. Está bien. ¡No! Caí justo en su trampa. No. No. Ay, se trabó, qué bueno. Ahora yo me trabé. Ahí está.
Quedado gaga.
Muerto. Muerto. Ahora, solo. Lo único que importa es que abra el shortcut. Solo eso importa.
Eso.
Adiós. Eso.
No olviden suscribirse al canal y darle like.
No. Ok. Eso necesitaba. Necesitaba matar a ese al parecer. Wow. Había uno escondido que ni vi. Ok.
Es el DLC, no.
No, esto no es el DLC. No, según yo no. Pero, ¿a dónde tengo que ir? Esto... Esto tenía que ir a algún lado. Acá abajo tal vez. Sí. Ok. Bien. Vamos a subir de nivel. Vamos a hacer eso.
Bienvenido a que... Muy bien,
Allá recordé a...
Adiós. Bienvenido a que... Muy bien, Adiós.
No me acuerdo si era ahí. Creo que no. Sí, sí era. ¿Eso quería hacer? No, ¿verdad? Sí.
Las Winter Lanterns te dan runas chidas.
Yes. Las Winter Lanterns dan unas chidas. Ese güey se mató. Y ahí podemos ver un comercial o algo porque... ¿Qué sigue? Bueno, puedo intentar farmear. Este... No me dio nada. Vamos a ver si este brother da algo. No, no le doy.
También sirven para eso las Winter.
Las Winter, no sé qué sean las Winter, güey. ¿Qué son las Winter?
pareces las muñecas pero con un cerebro con ojos.
Creo que está mejor llegarles por atrás. Definitivamente.
No olviden suscribirse al canal y darle like. Que te dan frenesí de lejos.
Me dio frenesí ahorita. Tal vez ese.
Está cerca por un puente.
Ah, qué rico. A ver. No dan nada estos putos. A la verga. Ok. Estúpido. Ok. Bien. Bien, 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 bien. Vamos contra el jefe. Como debe ser.
Bienvenido a... Muy bien, deja. Adiós, querido cazador.
¿Dónde era? Aquí, ¿no? Listo. Vamos a subir uno o dos nivelitos otra vez. Y el siguiente jefe.
Bienvenido. Muy bien, deja.
Ok, no necesitaba hacer eso, pero bueno.
Adiós.
Ay, ¿por qué pinches piedras me trabaron? Por cierto, por aquí no hay nada. Se ha aprovechado este espacio, ¿no? Ah, bueno. Ay, es que ese pinche tentáculo me estorba un chingo.
Deje. Muy bien, Adiós, que encuentro.
Ok, necesito levantar eso ahorita. Creo que si vienen unos rayos azules mortales es buena idea moverse, creo. No estoy seguro. Y no subí esa mierda, ¿verdad? Increíble. Sube esta mamada, Luis. Ay, me escupió sangre. Y otra vez no subí esa mierda, ¿verdad? Otra vez no la subí. Carajo. Ok, creo que este ha sido el jefe más difícil hasta el momento.
Bloodborne es 1000 veces mejor que Elden Ring.
Sí, estoy de acuerdo. Bloodborne es más que un videojuego, Bloodborne es la vida. Si no has jugado Bloodborne, no has vivido. Punto. No sé lo que es arte, habilidad.
Le tenía mucha fe a Elden Ring, pero...
No, Elden Ring es un juegazo. Superar a Bloodborne yo creo que es imposible.
Bloodborne 2 seguro sale para PS6. No olviden suscribirse al canal y darle like.
Uy, 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 se pone salvaje. Uy, 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 corre, 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 corre. Bien. Bien, 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 bien. Fácil al final.
Bienvenido aquí. Muy bien, Dick.
Ok, ahora... ¿Qué falta? Pues ya no, Margot. Vamos por Margot. Chingada madre.
Welcome to Ocean. Thank you for watching today. And let's talk about the best day. This battle is actually really easy for it being so late in the game. But all you want to do here is just simply one or two things in the main area. Or 2 times and then roll back away from her. And then when she attacks at you again, either roll toward her, roll away, and you get a few slices in. But the battle will take a long time. You get so many slices in behind her because she's pretty vulnerable from not being able to attack. Now, eventually, she'll turn the whole battle arena purple, and there'll be 2 of her, and they'll be attacking you that way. And my recommendation during this is really don't try to attack hardly at all. Just simply run in circles, and anytime you see her appear, just sort of start rolling, roll through the attacks, and then continue on your circle. Really simple. You'll avoid her the entire time. She's in a purple area. I mean, you'll see her, but just simply continue your circle, rolling when you see her, and you'll be able to get out of the purple area pretty darn fast and back to the normal stage of fight. And then you go back to your same old strategy. Get behind her and attack her when she's vulnerable, or roll into her, roll away from the attack, and get 1 or 2 slices in after she's taken her attack, and then roll away. My personal recommendation is get behind her and get as many slices in as you can, especially when she's doing that one where she's like walking and doing a little slice.
how well he was able to play?
I mean, I know he's won 24 Grand Slams, and you know, we know each other very well, how we play. So, you know, it's I always said, you know, never. I say surprised not, because I feel like, you know, he's, you know, the greatest, you know, player, you know, for many years. Of course, he's playing less tournaments because of his age and everything, but we also know how important Grand Slams are for him. You know, there's small like extra motivation. He played great tennis, and hopefully I can see some. They can also handle this as a lesson, maybe. We'll see. Yeah. I you know, we know very well how we play, so you know, it's I always said, you know, never I say surprised not. Player, you know, for many years. Of course, he's playing.
All I know is that we just witnessed greatness again. You beat Sinner, who's been dominant, two-time defending champion. He's basically you from 10 years ago with his hardcourt record and what he does to people. And when the moments get big, the ability to clamp down and control the middle court, feed the ball in the middle, and just say, you know what, you're going to have to beat me without me providing you with an angle and from below your hips, under pressure. The ability for, we always say lockdown Novak, that's what it is. And I've never seen someone so comfortable in that situation. When you're playing someone like a Sinner, who's quickly being like he's going to be all-time great, like imagine doing that for me versus so it's going to be majors, or 11 majors, or Sinner 20 majors, I don't know. To do this at 38 years old, 14-year age gap, if anyone asks Novak about retirement the next 6 months, they should. All I know is that we just beat this greatness. You beat Sinner, two-time defending champion. He's basically you from 10 years ago. With his hardcourt record, he does to people, and when the moments get big, they control the middle court, feed the ball in the middle, and just say, you know what, you're going to beat me without me providing you with an angle and from below your hips, under pressure. The ability for, we always say lockdown Novak, that's what it is. And I've never seen someone so comfortable in that scenario. When you're playing someone like a Sinner, who's clearly being like he's going to be like imagine doing that 30 years old versus someone we're going to look back on and say this guy won 10 majors. Borg won 11 majors, Sinner won 20 majors, I don't know. At 38 years old, 14-year age gap, if anyone asks Novak about retirement in the next 6 months, they should find out. All I know is that we just witnessed greatness again. You beat Sinner, who's been dominant, two-time defending champion. He's basically you from 10 years ago. People just say, you know what, you're going to have to beat me without me providing you with an angle and from below you. The ability for, we always say lockdown Novak, that's what it is. And I've never seen someone so comfortable in that scenario when you're playing someone like a Sinner, being like he's going to be a all-time great. Like imagine playing 30 years old versus someone we're going to look back on since he won 10 majors. Borg won 11 majors, Sinner won 20 majors, I don't know. To do this at 38 years old, 14-year age gap, if anyone asks Novak about retirement in the next 6 months, they should. All I know is that we just witnessed greatness. You beat Sinner, two-time defending champion. He's basically years ago with his hardcourt record and what he does to people. And when the moments get big, and like the slam down, control the court, feed the ball in the middle, and just say, you know what, you're going to beat me without me providing you with an angle and from below you, under pressure. The ability to be that's what it is. And I've never seen someone so in that scenario when you're playing someone like a Sinner, being like he's going to be all-time great. Like imagine doing that. Or 111 maybe. To do this at 38 years old, anyone needs to know that about retirement in the next 6 months. All I know is that we've just witnessed this. You consider two-time defending champion. He's basically you from 10 years ago with his hardcore record and what he does to people. And when the moments get big, it's time to clamp down, control the middle of the court, feed the ball in the middle, and just say, you know what, you're going to have to beat me without me providing you with an angle and from below your hips. Under pressure, the ability for, we always see lockdown Novak, that's what it is. And I've never seen someone so comfortable in that scenario. Believe me, like he's going to be an all-time great. Like imagine doing that at 30 years old versus someone we're going to look back on and say this guy won 10 majors, or 11 majors, Austin, 20 majors, I don't know. To do this at 38 years old, 14 years old, if anyone asks Novak about retirement, this is all I know is that we've just witnessed greatness. You beat Sinner, who's been dominant, two-time defending champion. He's basically you from 10 years ago with his hardcore record and what he does to people. And when the moments get big, the ability to clamp down and control the middle of the court and feed the ball in the middle and just say, you know what, you're going to have to beat me without me providing you with an angle and from below your hips. Under pressure, the ability, we always say lockdown Novak, that's what it is. And I've never seen someone so comfortable in that scenario when you're playing someone like a Sinner. Like imagine doing that 30 years old versus someone who's going to look back at this. To do this at 38 years old. If anyone asks Novak the next 6 months, all I know is that we've just witnessed greatness. You beat Sinner, who's been dominant, two-time defending champion. He's basically you 10 years ago with his hardcore record and what he does to people. When the moments get big, the ability to clamp down and control the middle of the court, keep the ball in the middle, and just say, you know what, you're going to have to beat me without me providing you with an angle and from below your hips. Under pressure, the ability for, we always say lockdown Novak, that's what it is. And I've never seen... AI is only as powerful as the 85% together of your business matters most. You by service now. Quick serve brought to you by Service Now. You just finished watching in studio. She's winning. And Sean asked the question, is this the greatest semi-final day ever? We're in Australia, like Melbourne had like Super Saturdays in the Open. But the point that, like you asked that question, and I'm thinking for the greatest day ever is for years, it means it's one of the greatest days ever. I mean, we're going to start because we just watched it, and I have actual adrenaline in my body. Yes. This theater of vagina. You could have done the decaf. What do you say? Like, 90%. You know, there's a lot of conversation around, can he do this if he would have had the load of matches coming in? If he would have had, you know, that's not what it shook out. All I know is that he's that nothing we just saw in silo for a given match. Novak made it his way that match, and we were all watching great attention as we're watching, like, his ability to manage a match in long rallies when he needs to, when his legs aren't thin, give away the score. I mean, I thought Eubanks, Fowler, and James did a great job of explaining, like, he should throw this game away because he has to actually...
No, sí, dormí, desperté.
This game and protect it, like, you need your serve, you know, first serves versus second serves, and the pacing of matches is unbelievable. And especially at an extended age, you see him equal his trade-offs more often, which means his margin for victory is way smaller. Right? He has to thread the needle on shortening the points. And it's between critical moments. And I mean, like 30 all in Yannick serve, he's not just going to go for a win. He has to have the legs to invest in those moments. I don't know that anyone's ever believed. Even when the crowd says something, and this is a skill. So this is not a criticism. This is an absolute skill. We all do it. And we'll get to what we all do with the Carlos conversation, with the timeout, with the Super also. But like, if he's struggling and muscles, you can analyze this.
Ya no estás jugando Night Train.
It's like,
Sí, sí he jugado.
15 seconds of experience, a skill. They made a difference with making the first serve in this moment. And it's in the rules. Points of maybe I'm perhaps 2% here if I go aggressive and throw away these 2 points. If I throw away these 2 points, then I'll have my legs for the serve in the next game. Slow down. See, you were talking about that while we were watching this last two. The fact that, you know,
Pásame tu código de Steam cuando tengas tiempo.
He's like, all right, just explain how you see me with that.
Código de Steam. ¿Estás en el Discord? Escríbeme en el Discord y te lo paso.
Sean asked some version of, is he really going to dive into breaking here? Yeah. And he's like, 15 love. I go, less likely. I go, if it's 30 love, he's taking the first ball. I go, we're not going to see a rally go past 6
Okay.
Like, that is not the most obvious way for him to win on a percentage basis at that moment is to not invest in trying to come back from above 30 down, because what's there, 2% chance of that happening? And it is in saving my legs to make first serves in the last game, being able to invest in those last couple points. So to throw away, and actually Eubanks nailed it, and I wish I would have thought of this term for it. He talked about it after the fourth set, I think, with Milligan, who's great, by the way. Like, for somebody who hasn't come to tennis, she's fantastic. Yeah, totally. But he goes, no, that's not taken, it's not less than ever. He goes, that's a business decision. Absolutely what it is. He has, I don't know, does he have the legs? He plays lessons. All I know is that we just witnessed greatness again. You beat Sinner, who's been dominant, 2-time defending champion. You know, he's basically you 10 years ago. It's what he does to people and how it is just. It's I say, you know, you're going to have to beat me providing you an angle in from below your hips. Pressure. The ability, we always say lockdown Novak, that's what it is. It's like, if you can beat me from the toughest place in the court to create damage, and I've never seen
No.
like someone like Sinner. Like, he's going to be awesome. Doing that 30 years old, this is he's one more match from the world. He's one more, like, he's there. Yeah. Right? Like, to do this at 38 years old, 14 years old, if anyone asks him to retire in the next 6 months, they should say no. Ronald Horvath's got a stat line where it shows that Sinner had 26 aces to Novak's 12. You know, his first win, second one, 80% of those. First Novak 70 and 72%. First error equally, you read that stat line, right? Like, total points won was Sinner 152, Novak 140. It's just management thing. You tell me, you said Sinner serves 75% first serves. 75% first serves. Okay, so here's I'm going to tell you something. I'll tell you when I think I get things right. I'm going to tell you when I would have been absolutely wrong. We've done the thing where if you would give me one stat a day later, my hit rate on predicting matches would be very high. If you would have told me that Sinner serves 75% first serves and Novak won that match, you would own my house. Yeah. Service points won was 80 each. It's a joke. I mean, that's not surprising. I mean, Sinner's going to hit more aces than Novak. He has more pace on his first serve than Novak. But the total points is deceiving because is Sinner having to manage, throwaway games like Novak? Probably not. So, Novak doesn't care about total points. He cares about getting that one break and fucking white-knuckling it to the finish line.
Yeah.
Which is what he did. I mean, it's just...
There was the one cutaway of him after he was like complaining about his ribs to his box, and then they come at the changeover, and he's just like laser focused.
It's just...
It's like, oh, that's scary.
It's like he picks these moments where most of us just have like this massive anxiety all the time, and like it comes out as it comes out. It's almost like he picks his moments, explodes to familiar faces, and then is able to like bring it back in.
And then internalizes.
It's like going into a hotel room of emotion, throwing your shit everywhere, but then being able to pick it up. Like, and then have it orderly again at some point. Like, I think he's the best of all time, obviously, just at winning in tennis and the whole thing, but like managing matches and how that happens is kind of getting across. But
When
like,
was that broken up? I think it was like late when Sinner hit that one up the line.
yeah, so, like, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but it, like, you know, that instant Sinner hits the line, and Novak on a mighty one out, not, but he kind of like was like this, like for sure it's coming out, and you can see Sinner like looking and then going quickly, like that hit is like is able to set like the perfect screen. It's like a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander who isn't gonna beat you with speed all the time, but the different paces of like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander gets fouled from behind when he like backs into someone and then shoots. That's what this is. This is like a skill developed over these titanic battles for 20 years. And you're watching it and it's still good enough to beat the best players on earth sometimes. I don't know if I thought he could beat these guys in 3 out of 5. Novak didn't either. He said it after the US Open last year. Now, can he beat him back-to-back? That's another whole day. I don't even want to preview the men's final today, and I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Because it would be too quick to move on from what we just saw. Like, this has to settle in. This has to marinate. Sinner is fantastic. Fantastic. I think no differently of him. The stat that is going to be said over and over again. You get the Pakula hasn't made it past the quarters, the this and that. He's never won a match over 3 hours, 5 minutes, 9. That's gonna stick. Like, if there's anything that the locker room has any hope for with Sinner, heat and length. Really, to get the 4 hours in, see what will knock your head off. Right? If you can, it changes a little bit. It's like, Tyson in the 10th round versus Tyson in the 3rd round. He's walking in there to knock you out. He's walking in there to knock your head off. Yeah. Whereas, like, Holyfield wants to extend, get longer. I don't know, dude. Like, it's just that lame country song. I'm not as good as I was. I'm not as good once as I ever was.
Yeah.
18 years since it was first grade. It's 1,000 times. Carlos. I mean, it's crazy that might be the second best match of the day. I don't know. I mean, here's. So I've said this before on the air, and it's one of my favorite quotes ever. And it's from my old coach and all-time great, Jimmy Connors. Sometimes when you play a point the right way and someone comes up with something that's just better, but you executed it the way you wanted to. Sometimes you come off and you play a match where you executed the way you wanted to. Yeah, this thing where he'd go, fucking A. Operation was successful. Sometimes the patient dies.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it was for Alex today. Carlos, he's so good. It's just the speed, and you saw him kind of learn that Novak playbook where he's pacing the injury. He wouldn't admit to cramps, but it looked like cramps. I would bet you $1 that it was cramps. He's not going to admit to it because that brings in a whole. He says it's cramps, and then all of a sudden he has to answer 12 more questions in the press conference about the medical timeout. So why would he even do that?
No.
Like at this point, it's like load management, time management. You guys can write what you want. I don't care much. I need to get ready for the final. Just straight out of the gates, it's so much fun for me to see the game and the level and the movement and the athleticism, the drama, and the next generation stepping up pretty much every tournament. Right in the storylines of like Kansas, like he's not gonna be these all-time greats. Can he get one? Can he get one? And Carlos going, I have the career slam. I want to be the youngest to get the career slam. And then you have Yannick going against the shadows of greatness. And then you have Novak going, can I get one more? Can I just get to 25? And so now we look forward and we see Carlos going for the all-time record for youngest to ever complete all 4 Grand Slam wins against the best of all time, who's going for 25 on the same day. Like, it's just, if you don't like tennis, we're not friends. I don't like you.
Can we dig a little bit more deep into the context of this? Carlos's, so they're in the third set. Yeah, for a medical timeout, so 2 sets. Yeah, and Zverev should have won that second set. You know, he was serving for it, should have won it. Carlos calls for the medical timeout. And at this point, right, it looks like he's cramping, he's taking on water. But at the end of the day, it's up to the physio if this timeout is to happen, right? Can we explain the context of this and the rules?
So here's what happens. So the rules are like super not supposed to be because it's not an injury. It's a situation. Right? Like your toes could cramp right now, and tomorrow you're not injured. Right? So that's the fine line. That's what it's about. It's like this is an injury timeout. He's getting his legs rubbed on, which helps cramps. Under the guise of like my parents wanted things to be true. So we don't know. Carlos was giving. He's like he basically is an adductor. I don't know about it. Adductors don't really get like cramps. They go in waves. They can come like when you're managing cramps. You're like, okay, let me just try to do everything in my power, not move in certain directions that I want. Wait till electrolytes kick in. Wait till anything kicks in 15 minutes. So you're basically biding your time. But cramps can come and go. Now they're going to come for you at a certain point. Like it's not as if you cramp an hour in and all of a sudden like you're going to feel rosy. But full lockdown where like you can't move versus a little bit of relief and you're just incredibly fatigued. One is operational, like you can operate. One you can't. Okay, so I would bet $1 that he had cramps. And for everyone saying that's like, there's 2 things that people are going to say that I fully disagree with, right? Every single player on Earth would make Carlos dead. Because, like, I 100% would have been able to do the mental gymnastics to get to. But yeah, like records.
Yeah, he like grabbed his right groin and he's like,
if the decision is not my own and it's written in the rules as the job, which is also fucked. But like, if you can punt responsibility
to a third party
and it's within the rules for them to make a judgment, yes.
Yeah, what is the physio going to do? He's going to go stand on the side. He's going to be like, no, I'm good.
No, and also people like
he's going to walk over and check what else.
But also, people are going to be like, the physio needs to say, when Alex was right, the physio. Okay, imagine how that works, right? You're the physio. You're the it's a no-win situation. Mm-hmm. There's no chance for the physio to win. They work for the tours. You're not getting your personal physio out there. It's not as if this person works for. Smash.
Smash it. Press. You know, he said, to be honest, I don't want to talk about this right now because I think this is the best he's ever was in Australia.
Yes.
And it does. Because I think this is one of the best battles
He's
there
right.
ever was in Australia.
Yes.
And it doesn't deserve to be.
He didn't just turn it into something tabloidal when that was it wasn't the entire match. It wasn't the entire match. It was a huge factor in it. They're both right. You can get called or I can defend either one. It's, I think. You know, and I just feel bad. Like Zverev has admittedly, and the U.S. Open final comes to mind, has choked matches with serving. I don't know if that was the case. I think his legs were. It's hard to serve after it just is. And Zverev, more than any of the other three players in the semifinals, needs his serve to equalize the matchup. It goes, it affects him more than the other three. It went, it affected him more than the other three. Props to Carlos. Like, this guy's a magician. Like, rolling arrows, getting at that, serving for matches, like, doing it today. The ability for him to just not have a conscience and step up and hit shots is like, I've never had it, that's why I'm not them.
I mean, Walker mentioned that about both Sinner and Kroos. Like, there's no doubt in their minds when they go for the shots. They just go for it.
I'll tell you this, like, we'll close it here because I don't want this to be. We have two matches to talk about. I'm not previewing it. Like, these need to settle. We need to understand the physicality, the mental isolation, the strategy that goes in. It's not you actually think about these things. Like, you can check it out. I'm sure you have to pay attention to things as a player. Like, it's all the insights. Outsourcing minutes and they're managing your minutes. Station, but it's you're stamping. Tennis, you're stamping every decision, when to punch, when to pull back, and advantage. So 5 hours in it's a joke. Tennis is the hardest sport in the world.
9 hours and 36 minutes max. 9 hours and 36 minutes max.
I don't care. 2 matches. It's a joke.
Yeah, hey, yeah, I'll definitely.
Thank you for watching. Every day I leave after something like this. I love tennis more than I ever thought I could. Amazing. AI is only as powerful as it's built on. With the ServiceNow AI platform, your AI data and workflows all work together.
Well, we've been asking for a match at this year's Australian. And I mean like a match. One that gets our heart pumping and our blood flowing. And ladies and gentlemen, that plays for the Philippines Sanders Barrett and getting going. Alcaraz 7-5. But it was a wild ride getting there. A wild, wild ride. Well over 5 hours. I don't know what it clocked in at, maybe around 5:25. There's a lot to talk about. Full disclosure, Djokovic and Sinner right now are playing in the third set as I'm recording this. I've been up for a very, very long time. If that one goes 5, I'm just not going to be able to make it and record something. I've got a flight tomorrow, etc., etc. So here's the plan. I'm going to get my thoughts on Djokovic-Sinner match, and also a preview of the final in a podcast that will come out at a later date, plenty of time before the final. I'll try to be as timely as possible. That's going to be the plan. But for this show, it's going to be all about Alcaraz versus Zverev, and once again, it might still be a decently long show because there are a lot of things to hit on. So let's get into it. You guys know me. I like tactics. I love stats. I talk about technique sometimes. I talk about strategy. let me start off this analysis by saying F that. Like, we're going to not talk about that for a second, because that is not what this was mostly about, or what was most interesting about this match, as it went through its various sort of renditions of itself. And in the end, if I can just open with this thought on Carlos, look, he wins 98% of the tennis matches that he wins because of his talent level and his level of athleticism. But sometimes circumstances arise or opponents give him enough input where he kind of has to tap into something a little bit more. And what I'll always remember this particular Alcaraz performance for, and what I think was so incredible about witnessing this match and what Alcaraz did ultimately with coming through in the end, was we saw the depth of his willpower. Like, we saw what was inside of him as a warrior fully exposed. I think he needed all of that. So, what a special player this guy is. He's that talented and that athletic, but then on the mental side of things, he can dig that deep, work that hard, and be that resilient. I mean, that's just special stuff. So, look, I thought, first and foremost, Alcaraz's greatness was pretty much fully on display in this match. I always say, like, mental strength, what is that? We love to say that stuff in tennis. Like, what does that even mean? When bad stuff happens, how do you react? I think that's the simplest way to put it. And the first bad thing that happened to Carlos Alcaraz is he started cramping in the third set. He started cramping. And then he got teased a couple of times. He was 2 points away from victory at 4-5 the third. Then he was 2 points away from victory at 5-6 the third. Couldn't get over the finish line and lost a tiebreak in that set. Then he could kind of, could barely move in the fourth set. But he didn't fully mail it in. He certainly took some precautions with his body so that he could recover, but he still was engaged in trying to win the fourth set. And serve. He fought for 6 holds of serve. And then after all that, he lost another tiebreak. And then he went down a break in the fifth. And then he had break point at 2-3. And then he had a 3-2, I should say. And then he had a break point at 4-3. Multiple consecutive service games, losing break points, and then it all came down to the end. Zverev serving. And then Carlos continues to just chop wood and eventually gets that break. He summoned all the passion that he could from the crowd. He played with a ton of energy, inspired at the moment, and fought with a lot of his playing. But also just leveled on, I think, the team that set him for the end, that he really had to try to push through. Not only was his victory coming through the fifth, despite the table and having to sort of be mental blows, I also think that the mental side of things was a big reason why Carlos won 2 sets of 1. Positive things to say about Zverev in this analysis. He deserves it. This won't be because I'm going to talk about the first 2 sets. These guys were both nervous. And they handled it the opposite ways. Carlos was nervous because, it's a semifinal. This is the major that means the most to him in 2026.
Thank you for coming, guys. Really nice improvised media.
Congratulations. John McEnroe said in the coverage afterwards you can make an argument that this was your finest ever performance. Maybe some of the 24 slam, just wondering everything you've been through here.
To be honest, I wouldn't dare to call it ever, finest ever, but
definitely the finest in the last few under the circumstances. Semis against Sinner, who has been playing best tennis of his life in the last couple of years, particularly here, two-time defending champion. Doesn't get better than this. I mean, honestly, I started my preparations for the new season and kind of set the goals. And it's no secret that Grand Slams are where I want to play my best tennis, but it becomes, I guess, more difficult for me to motivate and myself, and I ask myself questions. Okay, what is it that I'm looking for myself? And I was imagining really playing against Yannick and Carlos in the final stages of Grand Slams this year and battling it out and really giving it all that I have. So very fortunate to already get it in the first slam of the year. So big win, very proud, very happy, very relieved as well because it was physically very demanding. Yeah.
You didn't have to play. No mentions that you had to play.
That's true.
And
I don't know. Let's see. It's almost 3 a.m. Let's see. I cannot make any predictions right now. Definitely not going to train tomorrow. I'm just going to use every hour I possibly can to recover and hopefully get out on the finals day feeling somewhat refreshed.
Obviously pretty upset about your level the other day, 2 days ago. How do you explain playing at that level 2 days ago and then playing as you did tonight? And beforehand, the way you did serving, you're like 80% in the 4 sets. And you get from there here.
I never thought there's a lot of people that doubt me. I see there's a lot of experts all of a sudden that wanted to retire me or have retired me many times the last couple of years. But, I want to thank them all because they gave me strength, they gave me motivation to longer, which I have tonight.
Ayúdanos.
It's not a surprise, to be honest. I know what I'm capable of. So I've had
Una horrible vez.
matches during the
Un gran terror se acerca.
those days where you're not feeling the best.
Ludwig, el maldito, vete de
Try to
aquí.
find a way to win everything that you possibly have. The quality of tennis is not even close to where you want it to be. So that was the
Ten
case.
piedad.
Again, I was lucky.
Piádate de nosotros.
Lorenzo got hurt. We got a match. 2 days later, obviously different opponents. I knew exactly what's expected. I came out with the right, great clarity and strategy.
snow back on this north that's been so much here. Up in the sky, thinking about what it's just like.
Otra moda, técnica, forma de comer es el ayuno intermedio.
Ay.
Estuviste a mi lado todo el tiempo. Mi mentor. Luz de luna que me guía.
¡Vamos!
Querido la no.
The languishing AC and
Germán
it kicked it into
Muy
high
bien,
gear.
Dick.
There are a lot of reasons to be a fan of the Steam Deck, and I can sit here and list all of my favorite things about it, and I probably will. But I wanted to give you some fresh perspectives on what makes the Steam Deck so popular. So I ended up reaching out to some of my favorite content creators.
Germán
Walls,
Muy bien,
Brady,
Dick.
Bob Wolf, Aaron Gollum, Jimmy Champagne, Rich from Fan Deck, Russ Credo from Retro Game Report, Tech Queen, and Dan Jeff. And I asked all of them what they love about the Steam Deck. But before we get that, I want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video. It's time that we're honest with ourselves. Do you have a drawer that you just throw cables into? Or are you more like me and have multiple drawers filled to the brim with cables that you can't tell apart because they all look the same? My biggest gripe with USB-C is that all of the USB-C cables look the same, and companies never label them with what they can do. I want to know how much power a cable can transfer. I want to know how much data a cable can handle. Well, with LTT cables from LTTstore.com, I finally get what I want, and that's why I was really excited when they offered to sponsor this episode. LTT cables have what they call true spec cables that fix these glaring issues. Now, you don't need to know the difference between USB 3.2 Gen 1 and USB 3.2 Gen 2. All you need to know is the capabilities of the cable that you're buying and their label. They also come with a bunch of different lengths. I used to always buy the longest cables, but I could just because I wanted to make
Hagamos
sure
que los
that I would
ecos
still be
sean
able
tu
to use
fuerza.
them if I decided
Déjame.
to change things around. But the problem with that is you end up with all this extra wire that then you have to cable make or leave in, which looks terrible. With LTT cables, you get the lengths that you're looking for, and as a bonus, they're built to last. They use silicone sheet, which is more flexible and less prone to damage and more pull on your cables. So if you want to make sure that you know what your cables can do, do yourself a favor and find them from LTTstore.com in the future. And a big
Oculto por la noche, pero con paso firme. Oculto por la noche, pero...
Oye, tienen al solo los necios.
Germán, te vas. Muy bien, deja. Germán, te vas. Muy bien, deja.
Ten cuidado. Ten cuidado.
Ok, voy a cerrar el stream. Muchas gracias a los que pasaron.